Yeah. Okay. So now tonight we have a trumas and maaser stuff.
Right up my alley.
There you go, Sam. I was wondering why you're on there. I don't think there's any dead kids or anything like that today.
For any first-time people in the Daf, they have got some questions for you.
I'm telling you, I can't get away from this. Good. I question why you put a kid on top of a dead body, but I'm the weird one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the rabbi says.
Yeah. I hear you. What should I tell you? I hear you. I can't.
Oh no, Simon, he's just a Shayoshev guy. Like whatever, you know.
I can neither confirm nor deny the validity of your question. Okay, so we're on Yud Gimel Amud Aleph, about 10 lines down from the top. And we were discussing, now the Gemara is going to go off on a tangent, but basically we were discussing at what point you have to start giving true, meaning when you're in the field, you're allowed to snack on whatever type of fruits you want. You don't have to take off trumas and maasros because that's called arai, right? But at some point, you have to start being chayv to take in truma. Normally, that chi had trumas and maasros, right? Meaning, until then it's called tevel, right? There's actually a chi of karas to eat tevel, right? Once, I'm sorry, no, it's not tevel until it gets set in the house. Once it becomes in sort of what we would call a kvias, where it's considered out of the field and then ready to be consumed, that's when the chiyuv of trumas and maasros comes on. Right? So we were talking about types of beans and all that may not necessarily always get piled up in the regular way. So at what point would you be chayiv in trumas and maasros in that? So Amar Abai. That's so 10 lines down from that. Amar Abai. Machlokes b'shibayla.
Wait, Yaakov, is this why is what you're saying related to you say putting it away and storing in the regular way, where they had an issue with people like climbing through windows to put things in?
Right, exactly. Yes, that's also part of it. Right. Yeah. If you brought in the stuff through the window, not in the regular way,
right, then
that would also be a way of getting around it. Right, exactly. Right. So Amar Abai, Machlokes b'shibayla. The whole Machlokes, right, between Rebbe and Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda. So 1 second. So let's just chazak from yesterday. So Rebbe and Rabbi Yosi and Rabbi Yehuda had a Machlokes that if you brought in grain in shibaylan when they were in the chaff to make dough, so then you can eat arai and then you're potter. But if you bring it in to rub the kernels together, moilel and melilus, which is to rub the kernels together, then Rebbe says that's considered enough to make you chayv. And Rabbi Yehuda says that's you're still going to be potter from that because it's not brought in the right way. I mean, it's brought in the right way, but it's not considered a kvias. So Amar Abai Machlokes b'shibayla. This Machlokes, the Rebbe and Rabbi Yehuda, is only by shibayla. The kidney by meaning shibayla, meaning by regular grains like wheat, etc. The kidney is, but when it comes to beans and the like things like that, divrei hakol asuraisa tavla. Then, according to everybody, once they're bundled up, that's when it becomes tevel, and now it's chayiv and trumas. Meaning, if you have when you have these what do you call it? The beans and the like, those type of things that are not always necessarily bundled up, but sometimes they are bundled up. So Abai is saying that according to everybody, when you do bundle the beans, that would be considered that it's tevel, and now you have to take off trumas and maaser. Okay, so let's say this is a proof to him. Tilson, right? If somebody had bundles of tilson, it's fenugreek, right? That's a Rosh Hashanah vegetable. I have no idea what it is, but I know it's on the lists of things to do yehi ratzon with, right? So tilson shel tevel. If you have bundles of this tilson that were tevel, I raise a kaitish. then you crush them, right? Means then that you would separate the junk from the real part. And you calculate how many seeds are in there because it's seeds. And you separate truma based on the zera, on the seeds, but you're not mafresh on the wood, which we'll see soon that the wood and the eight, similar to a esrog tree. Esrog tree, we say that the esrog and the tree taste the same. So the tilson is also the tilson and the tree taste the same, right? So now what is this Bryce telling us? This Bryce is telling us that even when you just pile them up and you didn't yet get to take them out of the stalks and out of the chaff and all that, you just bundled it up to bring it inside. That's enough to be mechayev and truma, right? So my love. So what are we saying? My love, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Yehuda. This must be Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Yehuda. The Amar Hasam Loy Tavla Hacha Tavla, where Rabbi Yehuda had said that over there by bringing in the grain, it's not tevel, but here he's saying it's tevel. So you see that he's maida that by beans and the like, it would be tevel even once you just bundle it up. So where it says Loy Rebbe, no, it's really it's Rebbe, right? So if that's the case and it's Rebbe, so Rebbe holds that grain when you pile it up, when you wrap it up, bundle it up, becomes tevel and becomes ready to make truma, and he's going to hold by this too. So Rebbe, my area tilson, afilu shibaylanami. So what are you saying tilson? Rebbe holds even when you bundle up shibaylan, grain, and that's a bigger chiddush. And he would hold that's chayev and truma. So kol shekain, the tilson. So that can't be Rebbe. So it must be Rabbi Yosi Yehuda. Then why doesn't he tell us about other types of beans? But kol shekain tilson and kol shekain tilson, right? Ella tilson it's trichalei. No, the reason why it's Rabbi Yosi Yehuda and he needed to tell us about the fenugreek, since the taste of the wood and the fruit, meaning the seeds, taste exactly the same. So lifresh namia eitzai. So maybe you have to be mafresh truma on the wood also, because the wood also has taste. Kamash malan that you're not mafresh truma on wood. You're only mafresh truma on the zera. So really, he could have mentioned any type of bean, right? But he decided to mention tilson because the chiddush of tilson is that you don't have to give truma on the what do you call it? On the wood. Yeah. Is the drumming? Can you hear the drumming?
We could hear it, but it's fine.
It's fine. It's
fine. Yeah.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Sorry about that. Now this next line is very interesting. So right now we're saying that whichever sheet it is, Rabbi Yosi, Rabbi Yehuda, once you make a bundle of beans, that's enough to be mechayev truma, even if the beans are not yet in the edible form, right? That's basically what we have to take out of the first part of this Gemara. That according to everybody, beans, even if they're in their stalks and they're not yet ready to eat, that's still considered chayev and trumas and maaser. So then we say ikadamri, the opposite. Ikadamri, Amar Abaya, Machlokes b'shibaylan. The Machlokes is by shibaylan, by regular grains. Aval bekidnius, but by beans, divrei akal asuraisa loy tavla. Everybody holds abundantly in it, doesn't make it tevel. Right, mamish the opposite. Yeah.
That's truma d'Rabbanan, on vegetables.
Well, that's a machlokes rishonim, but yeah.
It's machlokes. Yeah. Okay, fine.
It's a machlokes. Right. So how does it go again? The Rambam holds that it's only on olives, grapes, and grain, right? I mean, it could be everybody holds it up on it. Could be. I don't remember. There's a machlokes exactly which ones are what. Yeah. But Taisus, you see this bottom Taisus is fascinating. He says, what kind of Ikad Amri is this? He says, every other Ikad Amri in Shas is not the opposite. Most Ikad Amris it ends up with the same result. It's just how you go about getting to it. This Ikad Amri, the way Rashi explains it, is it's a total opposite. According to the first way we learned it, we said that beans, when they're wrapped up, become chayev and truma. And here we're saying beans, everybody holds beans when they get wrapped up, they're not chayev and truma. You just look at the Taisis, the Hiksha of Shimon, Bekaitzi, B'chola Talmud, Lematzinu Ikeda Amri Ki Agavna, Shula Hefech Men Arishan. We never see an Ikeda Amri like this. That's a total opposite from the Rishon. The Vada Matzinu B'Sham Rakam is Lishta Kama Divrei Akol, the Ikeda Amri B'Hanami Pligi, or Ikeda Amri B'Ha Pligi, or B'Ha Lishta Kama Divrei Akol, Aval Ki Agavna Loi. Right? Okay, so then Taisis goes on to a whole shot. That's not whatever. Taisis has a whole shot, but Taisis kasha on this is that this Ikeda Amri is totally different than any Ikeda Amri that you have in Shas, right? Because it's Ikeda Amri is a total opposite. Okay, but whatever it is. So now, according to this Ikeda Amri, even when you pile up the beans and you since they're not in their finished state, they're not chayiv they're not chayiv in trumas and maaser. So meisvei. So yes, the kasha misha tilson shel tevel. If somebody has bundles of this fenugreek of tevel areza kaitish, so you smash it up umachashiv kama zer yesh ben, and you make the calculation how much seed is in it. Umafresh ala zera. And you separate on the seed, it's same price, right? So now that's going to become a kasha. My love, tevel tovel shel trumah. Isn't it talking about trumah? And you see that you are chayiv in trumah even when it gets wrapped up, right? So we say loy. So we say no. Tevel tovel shel trumas maaser. It's tevel of trumas maaser. Maaserishin shekdimu b'shiboilin. If you took maaserishin and you took it from shiboilin when it's still in the chaff, there's a better word than chaff, right? I guess in the chaff. Shmai taivloi l'trumas maaser. It's still tevel trumas maaser. So we just need a little background here, right? So with the matnas kahuna, the way it works with trumas and maaser is first you take off trumah for the kohen. That's either 1/40th, 1/50th, or 1/60th. That's step number one. From that trumah, after that trumah goes maaser to the Levi. That's a straight 10%. And then the Levi himself has to go take 10%. He has to take 40 or 56 from his and give it to the kohen, right? Again, 1/40th, 50th, or 60th. That's up to the giver. Goes to the kohen. After that goes 10% to the Levi, and then from the Levi he has to give some to the kohen. So now the Levi is really losing out because since the kohen is getting 1/50th, so he's only getting a 10th what's left after the 50th. If the Levi would jump the gun and jump into the guy's field and take his 1/10, he'd actually gain a little bit more. What we're going to see is he's not allowed to do it, but it's a shtick that he could do to get himself a little bit more. So we're saying here that we're not talking about trumah. We're talking about the trumas maaser. Trumas maaser is again what the Levi has to give the kohen. That percentage that the Levi has to give the kohen. And the Reb Shimon Lakish says is that maaser rishon that they went first to the shibolim, right? So that's going to come. It becomes tevel for trumas maaser. Fine. Okay, so that's what we're talking. We're not talking about regular truma. So when it says kaitish lamali, why do you need it that it should be separated? The same way you gave it to me, meaning the Levi could say, the same way I got the stalks when they were not finished and I had to do all the work. Normally, the donor does all the work and he gives a finished product to the kohen and to the Levi. Here, that didn't happen. The Levi got it unfinished. So why can't he give it to the kohen and say, listen, I got it unfinished, so I'm giving it to you unfinished. So why can't he do that? So Marava, yeah, it's true, he could, but it's a knas. It's a knas on the Levi. And Rashi says the reason why it's a knas on the Levi is because he didn't do it in the proper order. The Torah says give trumah first, then maaser, and then trumah from the maaser. And this Levi jumped the gun and he went out of order. Since he went out of order, he went against the Torah, and Mamela, he gets a knas that he has to finish the product, even if he's really not mechuyev to finish the product.
How did he get it?
He went and took it.
He went into
He
the
went in-
guy's field and he took the stuff.
Yes. Yeah, he's entitled to it. Listen,
Not
I don't think
entitled to go into somebody's field.
he has to do it when it's in his field. He can't the Levi has to jump the gun before. That's what we're going to see on Amud Beis. The Levi has to jump the gun before it's already in its finished product. Once it's in its finished product, if the Levi jumps the gun, it's too late. It doesn't work. He can only jump the gun when it's in its pre-finished product. But that what we're saying now is that he can't go give that unfinished product to the kohen. He has to make it finished in order to give it to the kohen. And Rob is saying the reason.
What does that mean? It
because
doesn't work anyway because he gets a knas.
No, the knas is that he has to finish the product and then he gives it to the kohen. Right? That's what it is. He's going to give the finished product to the kohen.
Which is meaning that he just has to do what he was supposed to be doing anyway.
Well, really, no. Really, the Yisrael was supposed to have finished. The way to do it is that the Yisrael takes in the grain, takes off the chaff, takes off all the junk, piles it up. Now it's chayiv and trumas and maaser. The Levi and right, what?
Versus
the Levi, what he did is he jumps at it because he wants to get himself a slight percentage more, and he grabs the stuff from the kohen's field before the kohen finished everything.
How does he go to the Yisrael's field and take stuff? I don't understand.
Because we know that some of it goes to the Levi, and some goes to the kohen, so they're entitled.
But it's not his yet.
Well,
It
but it's
wasn't
gonna
given
be
to
his.
him.
Why isn't he a ganef? Well, I don't understand.
Because listen, I don't know why. Because
even by Hilchos Shmita, you have to the halacha is that you have to at least ask the person whose field it was, if it went hefker, you have to ask them so that you don't become used to just going into someone's field. How are they not held to the same standards?
I don't know.
You know,
Well,
in
he's
these
not allowed
in
to
these
do
parts,
this.
they'd have a shotgun pulled on him.
Yeah, that's true. He'd be risking his life in your parts, 100%.
Wait, he's allowed to do this?
Is he allowed? It's because I don't.
Not
know.
allowed to. It's not
It
much
works.
Yeah,
to
he gets a
do.
knas.
If he did it, it works.
You're good. I'm
He
not
gets to
saying
keep it.
this. He's not getting the Tzaddik of the Year award. That's for sure. But it does. I'm saying
He's
it
member
works.
Chosrei Amana anyway. This guy is
Good,
no
but
Amuna to start.
what the Olam is asking, like, why we just tell this guy give it back?
Because it's his.
Why is it
Ultimately, it's
his? Maybe the
Well,
the
I
Yisrael
don't
could say,
understand-
It will
understand
be
why the knas, you don't
his,
need
but
it.
it's not his yet.
It's not his. Okay, I guess. How is it his? He came into a guy's house and he took stuff from somebody's house. How's it become his? It's his. He's a ganef.
maybe the guy could tell him. Maybe the guy could tell him. I wanted to
he's
take
not a
from.
ganef. You're saying because he's clay kite the Shalege. It's not a ganef. As a ganef.
How is the knas though that he doesn't get that chelik?
No, you see, that's the thing. That's what the Olam's asking, Simon. Why don't we knas him that he doesn't get it? Right? No, we say no. He gets it. He gets it, but he has to finish it before he gives it to the kohen. Right? That's what we're saying. Right?
It just seems like they're not acting properly. Like it's like we had that thing about the Gemara where they're screaming at each other and pushing each other, and saying awful, berating things to each other. But okay.
Yeah, but not only that, not only do we allow it, this Levi actually gains by doing this because he gains that percentage that he chapped before the kohen got it. That's why he's doing
It's really
this.
not a knas. He just has to wait a little bit and give his portion away.
Is the knas going to
Yeah.
deter a Levi from doing it in the future?
Well, now he has to do all this work, so maybe.
So I'm saying, is the knas so severe that a Levi will think twice? Otherwise, it's not a real knas; it's a fake knas.
Right.
what
I
I'm
would
saying?
think. I mean, now he has to go and take off the chaff, take off this. Now, if he would have waited, he would have had white glove service. He would have had it ready to go, ready to eat, or ready to fry, bake grains. But instead, since he
But
jumped
he
the
would have had
gun,
less. But he would have had less.
he would have had less. Exactly. He would have had a small percentage less. Right? He would have had a small percentage less. And what we're saying is the knas is that he has to finish it before he gives it to the kohen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not
The
sure.
Viley
Yeah.
he has 10 sons. They're riding around in trucks, and they're taking all the trumah from everybody in his 20 miles of him, and no other Levi gets garnished. So he's doing pretty good for himself, this guy.
No,
hear.
no. What probably happened is the Levi probably went to the guy, said, "Listen, I will clear your field of my portion, and then I'll do the work, so I ensure that I get paid. Otherwise, any Levi can get it, and then it won't come necessarily to me. I'm looking for the entitlement.
That's what
So
I
I'm
just
willing
said.
to do some of the work in order to alleviate the Yisrael, some of that work, in order to achieve the entitlement completely."
Yeah, that's what comes right. I don't know. That's what comes. It's weird. It's you know what? I don't know. I guess there's no way to win. Bottom line is the guy's not winning all the way around.
Right.
That's probably
That would answer the Gneva problem. If that's the case, it's not Gneva. Yisrael let him.
Yeah. We're on the bottom of
I was listening.
Okay, I don't know. Believe that I'll try and check and see what
It
exactly
wouldn't
is.
solve, it wouldn't solve the Geneva issue. It would solve the Geneva issue on one side, but not the Geneva issue from the kohen side.
It's not Gneva from the kohen. It's not it.
Didn't we have
That's
the
all.
Kohen
Didn't we have
lost
this
out.
Gemara before?
Yes, we had it many times, and we're gonna have it many times again. It's anytime that you could be yaitza something with the grains, right? So it says maaser rishon shaloi natal trumas. That's one of the cases. It's always the case where the Levi jumped the gun, and it's maaser that where the trumah wasn't taken from it. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Whatever it is. Anyway, so Rava says it's a knas. Fine. Tanya nami hachi. 5 lines up from the bottom. Tanya nami hachi. We're starting again because Naftali just came, so we're going back to the top.
No, I was listening.
I'm joking. No joke. He was on, and now he shifted to in person. Okay, so Tanya nami hachi. Yeah. Ben Levi shenasnu lo shibolim b'maasros. So a Ben Levi, right? Who it's interesting lashon. What a Ben Levi? Why not just Levi? Right? So Levi that they gave him shibolim for maaser, meaning they gave it to him not finished. Oisen goyren, right? He has to make them a goyren, meaning he has to complete it before he's giving the trumah to the kohen. Anovim oisen yain, grapes he has to make it into wine, which I didn't get that either. Why do he has to make it into wine? Right? Why can maybe the kohen wants grapes?
Maybe it's teaching him just the patience, because to make it into wine, you got to squeeze it grapes and let it ferment, so on, whatever you got to do to it.
I'm saying if I'm a kohen and a guy comes and brings me grape juice, I say, 1 second, now give me the grapes, I'll make the grape juice.
I'm not sure. According to the Rambam, I don't think you're chayiv truma on grapes. You're chayiv truma on
But
wine.
that's- So we were discussing that. No. Yeah.
Because
that's
it's
around-
for the wine. That's why. It's wine,
I thought it
oil,
was
and
grapes.
flour.
I thought it was dafka grapes.
It's grapes because of the wine. Because the
Is that
Torah
what- yeah,
calls
I
it
don't-
dagan tirish v'yitzer. That's a
Right.
sukkah sugya. Dagan
Right.
is flour. Tirish is oil, and yitzer.
Now, I always understood it that it means just the grapes that eventually will be made into
Ah,
wine.
you learns that's what it means. It means
Yeah,
dagan
from
tirish
this, yeah.
v'yitzer.
That's mashma like that from this Gemara. Yeah, you're right. Zeisim oisen oisen shemen umafresh alein trumas maaser, and then he's mafresh trumas maaser. But oisen lekayin, then he gives it to the kohen. Shekashem shetruma gedola ain't any tell us. Just like truma gedola is not taken. Ella mina goyren and mina yekev, it only gets taken from the goyren and the yekev. It's kach trumas maaser ain't any tell us. Ella mina goyren and mina yekev. Right. So too trumas maaser is ain't any tell us only from goyren and from yekev. Right, so you see that the lady has to give it, right?
I jumped the gun. It's the top Rashi.
What?
The
Yeah.
elements,
So
just
you
like
get-
truma.
Yeah.
So you get a knas without listening to you. That's the knas.
So Rabaran. So the question that comes up from this Gemara that the Olam should ask, right, is we just said, when does the Levi have to finish off the product to give it to the kohen? It's a knas because he jumped the gun, right? From this Gemara's mashra, anytime the Levi wants to give it to the kohen, even if he didn't jump the gun, let's say the kohen gave it to the Levi in the stalks and as grapes and not as grape juice and olives and all that. This Gemara is saying that he still has to finish it before he gives it to the kohen. What do you mean? We said it's a knas. Here the Levi didn't do anything wrong. Yet the Gemara still says that he has to finish the product before he gives it to the kohen. Yeah, the Hailam here is the kasha. It's not, meaning we said that the reason why the Levi has to finish the product before he gives it to the kohen is because he has a knas, because he did it out of order. He went and took the trumah. Nice. He took the trumah. He took the maaser before the trumah was taken over. But here it was done in the regular way, and he still has to finish it. Right? Yeah. Okay. So that's a tumul in the Mefarshim. Yeah, which is usually a code word for that. I don't remember the teretz. Yeah. So fine. Okay. Whatever. That's the kasha. Right.
It's a brisker of.
Give away your secrets.
There's no secrets over here. There are no secrets. It is a briskerov, right? Yeah, it's a briskerov. There you go. Now I'm a little closer. Gershon will be a post shear by Gershon. He'll say the teretz. No.
Could have gone with.
Anyways, okay. And the Gemara says mechashev. It says you calculate, meaning which mechashev means like you do it around the erech. Hamadida boy. What do you mean it's machashav? You have to know an exact measurement. Meaning trumah, thank you. Trumah, you could do around because trumah is a 40th, a 50th, or a 60th. So you don't have to have an exact amount. But maaser has to be an exact 10%. You mamash have to make the exact. So what do you mean machashav you calculate? And mamash needs a measurement. So we say, what's the problem, Gesh?
Maaser or trumas maaser?
Trumas maaser. Well, maaser too.
Trumas maaser is also a tenth, no? Trumas maaser is a tenth of a tenth. Is a tenth of the maaser.
Trumas maaser is a tenth. I said before that it's a 40th, right? But it's a tenth of the. It's both. It's both. It's maaser and trumas. Maaser and trumas maaser both have to be 10. Correct. Yes. Thank you. Right. So it has to be 10%, but it's an exact 10%.
Although you gave truma, but you don't have to give an exact truma.
Truma doesn't have to be exact. Truma can be either
But once
40th,
you give the
50th,
truma, whatever
or
you
60th.
gave, he has to give an exact.
Correct. Correct. So then, so when answers how many Abba Elazar ben Gimel it's Abba Elazar ben Gimel, right? The Tanya Abba Elazar ben Gimel Omer, not a common name in Shas. Yeah. It says v'nechshel lechem trumasnim. Says you have to calculate your trumas. B'shtei trumas akos medaber. The pasuk is talking about two different trumas. Achas truma gedoyla, achas trumas maaser. One is truma gedoyla, one is trumas maaser. Trumas gedoyla, we tell us the same way truma gedoyla, you do it with evaluation and just calculating, right? Kach truma maaser, we tell us so he has in his opinion that the maaser also doesn't have to be exact. It can be rounded off, I guess. So Guf Amar Avo Amar Shimon Lakish Maaser Rishon Shekdimu B'Shibaylan. So maaser rishon, where again he jumped the gun and he went and he took it when it was still in its chaff, right? Shmai Tovloi l'Trumas maaser. It's considered tevel for trumas maaser, and memela if you eat it, and even though the trumas maaser was never, if the trumas maaser wasn't taken off, it's tevel. My timer Amarava Hayel v'Yatzel of Shem maaser. Since it had the Shem maaser on it. Now memela becomes tevel, and if you eat it, somebody eats it, he will be chayiv karas. Fine. Okay. So now here's the Gemara about the Levi jumping the gun. Amar of Shimon ben Lakish, maaser rishon shekdimu b'shibaylan. Maaser rishon that the guy went first, the Levi went first, and he grabbed it when it was still in its stalks, meaning when it was not yet chayiv. So potter mi truma gedayla, it's potter from truma gedayla. Shenemar v'aremoisim imenu trumas Hashem maaser min maaser. Says you take off truma maaser from maaser. Maaser min maaser martilach. I said that you have to take off maaser from maaser, but like truma gedayla, but trumas maaser min maaser. You don't take truma gedayla off from and trumas maaser from maaser. Meaning you only take off truma and then maaser and then trumas maaser. That's the order. You do not take off truma from maaser. From maaser rishon, you don't take off truma gedayla. What we call truma gedayla is the first truma. That only comes from before maaser. Once you took off maaser, you can't take it. Right? If that's the case, then even if he went and took it, why do you have to wait when he takes it from shibaylim? Is when it's not yet finished. Why? Well, and let's say he did finish it and he has the whole pile of grain ready to roll, and the Levi jumps the gun. How come he can't do that? That's also he took the maaser first. So no, on what you're saying, the pasuk says, "Mikol maasros sechem terumas trumas Hashem." from all your maasros, and meaning it can't. It's a limit from the pasuk that it has to be from before it's in its finished product. So now basically we have two psukim. One is telling you that you do take off maaser, and the other pasuk is telling you you don't take off maaser. And we're saying one is talking about when when the Levi grabbed it when it was in the unfinished, when it was still in the shibailin, and the other one where you do have to take off maaser is where trumah is where the Levi took it from the pile. Umari Isa, who says which one goes to which? Maybe it's the opposite. So our answer is Hi Idgan Vila Idgan. No, one is ready to roll, one is finished, and one is not finished. So it makes sense that you're gonna call the once it's finished, you're gonna call it that it has a chiyuv. Yeah.
You see, Yaakov,
Yeah, go ahead.
I go to my house, it's Purim. He has $100 bottle of wine and $100 steak. He's ready to give to his Rebbe for Sholach Manas. I say, oh, what's that? He said, that's Sholach Manas. I'm going to my Rebbe. He said, okay. I said, but you can give me Sholach Manas too. And I take it off his table. I take it home. So I'm not a ganef. What? So I'll say, you to Sholach Manas. You gave me the Sholach Manas instead of your Rebbe. Very good.
Right.
But
I hear.
you could do such a thing.
There's no.
I'm not sure I hear the tusha, but okay, I can hear you. That would be if he never gave.
You're a farmer is supposed to give trumas and maasros.
Right.
The gavra is supposed to give the hefza to a kohen and a Levi. He worked hard. He worked his field. We make all these peons to farmers. He worked for 8 months. He got up at the crack of dawn and and then some shmendra comes to his field and takes all the stuff, takes away the mitzvah from him. So that's what
you're right. He's a shmendrik. There's no question about it. He's a shmendrik. First, I thought you were working for Karen Ashvias there with that whole speech about how hard the farmers
is that true that the gavra is mechuyev to give the chefza? Because if that person that owned the field died before giving trumah or maaser from the field, is that field still mechuyev to have trumah and maaser given from it?
I think the Yarshim have to give it, no? I think the Yarshim.
So then it's on the field, it's not on the gavra.
True,
so it's not
true.
It's not on the gavra, it's on the field.
No, but there's also another knech here. It's called Toivas Hana. He could give it to the kohen and Levi he likes. He wants the shmir. He wants to shmir the kohen. His son wants to get into the kohen's yeshiva. You know what I mean? So he says, I'm promising you all my trumas. And now this guy comes and he kills the whole thing. Right now his kid has to go to a B yeshiva. Right, parrots and Yana the Yoiva, right? So that's so I don't know. And you're right. I don't know what we do with that. He messed him off. That's what he did. He messed him over. Anyways, okay. So now we're on to a shtickle different sugya. So Tanan Hassam is sort of the same thing, but it's now it gets into Shabbos. Tanan Hassam, Hamakalif Sa'irin. So anybody that's peeling Sa'irin barley. So how are you going to peel it on Shabbos? So now this, like we discussed yesterday, this anisser, one of the Avos melachas is called dash. Dash, there's a few, but dash is that you're separating the junk from the food, right? And a mashal, just to understand it, is we said it yesterday, that the purple reddish thing that's around the peanut, right? So taking that off would be the equivalent of dash. So we say, okay, so how come we're allowed to take that off on Shabbos? So the Pais can say the reason why you're allowed to take that off on Shabbos because if it's done immediately before eating and it's done on a table like that, then that's not called a melacha. That's called the way you eat it, right? But if theoretically you were to do it in the field, then you have a problem. Then it's a problem with dashik is a melacha. So
what about
how does Miyad play into it?
Orange is the same thing, Simon. Oranges, bananas, anything like that.
Well, no, but forget about even the peel. The peel, okay, I can hear, but you're talking about the red skin on the peanuts. What about like the white stuff left over on one of those like oranges that the kids don't want to eat?
Right. So then that's derech achila. That's derech achila. So that's fine. But if you go into your field, Simon, and you take 100 oranges and peel them, then you might have a problem.
If you're doing that on Shabbos anyway, you got an issue.
Yeah, if you're doing right. Well, yeah, that's true.
How does miyad come into play here?
What do you mean for what we just said?
Yeah, I'm saying you want to peel something, you want to eat it, for 3 hours from now. Is there a difference between doing that and I want to eat it right now? I mean, how else?
No,
can you
what
eat
it means is that
how else can you eat the banana if you don't peel it?
Correct, but if it's done like that right before you're eating, so then that's like a derech achilut. It's not exactly miyad like it is with butter. It's just sort of this is the way you eat it, so then that's fine. It's more of doing it in a more long-term bulk way that it's more of a problem. We'll see how the Gemara. Let's see how the Gemara says it. So Tananas, I'm a kalif siren. If you're peeling barley, makliv achas achas, you could do one at a time and eat it, right? And you're putter from taking off maaser because that's not kavua, that's arai, right? Because you're only doing one grain of barley at a time. Dim kolaf and nasan l'sayf
You're eating
yodei.
in the field
Even if you're eating it in your house,
because you brought it in with the.
it's right. It's not done yet. Im kilef and nasan l'sayf yodei.
So that's another trick.
But
Like
if
bringing
you
it through the
peel
window?
it, if you what?
It's like another trick bringing it in. Not
Sort of,
ready at the
yeah. But
window.
you only can eat one at a time. That's what we're gonna
Right,
see.
okay.
If you peel it and then put it into your hand, meaning if you peel it one at a time and you put like a sesame, what do you call it? Not sesame seed? What do we eat those things?
Pistachios?
No,
No, sunflower.
Sunflower seeds. Sunflower. Right? You eat one at a time. You put it into your mouth. So that's considered arai. You can eat it without taking off the trumas and maasros, etc. But if you peel it and then you put it into your hand, then that's already chayiv because that's more of a kviyas, right? So that's the first thing. Amar Rebbe Lazar, v'chein l'Shabbos, and the same thing would be for Shabbos. That what? That if you do it one at a time, you'll be mutter because there's no dash. But if you're going to do it and put it into your hand, then it's going to be much more of an issue. So when it says, Aini, it's not true. Rav Makafale Devisu, Casey. Rav's wife would peel barley kernels for him on Shabbos, like multiple. Rav Chia Makafale Devisu Kasi. And Rav Chia's wife would do the same thing. She would peel off a lot of kernels. So then they see that they're being Mechal Shabbos, which is grad an interesting kasha. So we're bringing rayas from the Rebbitzins. We're bringing rayas from the Rebbitzins that they did it, and it must be that they're doing it for Heter. Right? Ella, itmar, a sefer itmar. So no, so it must be going on the sefer. Hamoilol melilus, right? This is how we got into this whole thing, because that's what we were talking about on a blot ago. Moilol melilus is taking off you rub off the chaff from the wheat, menafech al yad. So what you could do is if you rubbed it off, then you can blow it from hand to hand, which will then take off the inner part, the chaff of the wheat, right? Then you could eat it. That's called temporary. So you don't have to take off maaser, right? But if you blow it and you put it into your lap, like when back then they used the lap as you took your clothing and you gathered things and put it into your lap, chayiv, then you'd be chayiv. And then the same thing would be for Shabbos, that you'd be chayiv for Baira, Zaira, right, or any of these types of melachas, right? So maskul Rav Abba Bar Mama for Reisha LaMaiser in LaShabbos Loy. In the Reisha, you're saying it's only for Maiser, but Shabbos wouldn't be a problem. Umi kamidi, is it possible the lineage Shabbos loy havi gemar melacha ulamaiser havi gemar melacha, that for Shabbos it wouldn't be a gemar melacha, but for Maaser it would be a gemar melacha? How could that be? That we're saying that it's in its finished product for Maaser, but it's not a finished product for Shabbos. So masculine of Sheshes, Breder of Idi, the law in that can it not be? Meaning, who says Maaser and Shabbos have to have the same qualifications? For Garnan LaMaiser, you have something called Gairin for Maaser. For what? The Tanah we learned in the Mishnah Ezu, Garnan LaMaiser. How do you know when for Maaser Gairin is the end, when it's ready to be stored? Right? At what point are vegetables considered ready to be stored and then Chayiv and Maaser? Hakishuin, Fataluin, the gourds and the cucumbers, whatever they are, Mishiyifsiku, that's when the leaves fall off. The Shalai Pasku, and the ones that they don't fall off, Mishiyamid Arma, when they get piled up. The Tanan Nami Gabi B'Tzalim, we learned the same thing by onions, Mishiyamid Arma, when it gets piled up. The Ilu Gabi Shabbos, Hamadas Aram of Potter, piling up vegetables. What melacha did you do for vegetables? You didn't do anything wrong on Shabbos for that. So you see that for Maaser, it is piling up is considered a finishing off the Maaser, and for Shabbos, it's not. Right? So so what are you going to say? The reason is because the Torah only aser the I don't know how you touch this, a conscious labor, meaning you had to purposely have done a melacha that was done purposely, and if it's not done with the intent of doing melacha, it's not a melacha, right? We have many examples in Shabbos. It has to be. That's why psik, right? If you're not, you don't want the end result, so you can't say that that's going to be awesome. I mean, if it's not a psik, if it's a psik, maybe we save it, right? I mean, you do one thing and something else happens. So why are you not chayiv? Because that wasn't your intent, right? You want to lean on the wall and you turn on a light. That's not a chil Shabbos because melechas machsheves. Your intent has to be to turn on the light in order to be chayiv. So what are we saying? So Shabbos needs a melechas machsheves. Hachanami melechas machsheves as the Torah. So too here, right? By the kernels doing it by hand, it has to be melechas machsheves, and that you don't have. So therefore, there's no raya between comparing maaser to Shabbos.
Can I be a gardening nerd for a second? Because it's funny that they use all the examples that they did, pumpkins and cucumbers. Although I'm not convinced it's cucumbers, but like onions and things like that. There's a curing period so that they can keep them over the winter season, right? So that they don't rot and stuff over the winter season, so they keep. And that's not, I don't think that would be considered like the piling because it has to be laid out and it has to have an airflow and stuff like that. It's the same thing as, it's kind of the same thing as what?
Go ahead.
It's talking about like the kernels as well. Like it's not the official way of doing it, although it's the most professional way.
So it could be in your scenario. It could be in your scenario that you're saying.
I mean, obviously, you have an issue. You would have an issue seriously about like pulling and gathering it and carrying and whatever. It's a melacha within itself too. But
right. I hear it.
Because it's talking about like if it's ready to be eaten, it's ready to be served or whatever.
Right.
If
in that case, it sounds like it wouldn't be. I'm no expert in trumas and maasros, but it sounds like in that case, if they're putting it away for storage, so maybe not. Is it readily edible though, right then and there?
I mean, you could, yeah. It's not. It's most people like let them cure for a week or so.
Okay, so I don't know.
But I mean, you could pull and eat right away.
I hear. All right, fine. Okay, so let's see. To Kate's on moilel. How exactly do you go about doing moilel? Right? How do you go rubbing off? Right? Tosfos says. Right. First Rashi says that it needs a shinui because it has to be different than the way you do it during the week. Right. But Tosfos says this is talking about on Yom Tov because Shabbos it's also. Right. And that's by moil, and ben menafeach, it's got to be on Shabbos because on Yom Tov it's mutter. But anyway, so Kate's on moil. How exactly? We're saying that you're allowed to do moil. You're allowed to rub it off on Shabbos. How do you do that? On Yom Tov, right? Yeah. So how's it a shinui? You have to do one finger against one finger, right? So Rashi says between the goidel and the etzba, right? So you take it and you go like this. Right, with your fingers. But Rav Avi Mishmei Rav Yosef Amar Chada Atarti. You could do one on two. Right, so you go like this. Right. Yeah, Rabba Amar Kivan de Mishani Afilu Chada Kulunami. Since you're doing it differently, you can even do one on the whole hand, and that's enough. Because as long as it's something different, that's all you need. Keitzan Minafeach. Now, what about the blowing? Right. Meaning on Shabbos, if you started the process before Shabbos, we said a blot ago, if you started the process before Shabbos, you can be menafeach from yad to yad. Amar Rav Ada Rabba, Amar Rav, menafeach mikishrei etzba isav ulamala. What you do is you blow it from the knuckles and up towards the, meaning on the edge of your fingers. That's when you have to deal with it at the edge of your fingers, not in the palm of your hand, right? They laughed at him in Marova. Given the Mishani, since you're doing it differently, then even your whole hand, it's no problem. Ella, so what do you do? Ella, right? So Rabbi Elazar says what you do is you can blow it with one hand and you can do it with all your koyach, right? So basically what you do is you can put it in this hand and then either move the hand like this or move the other hand and blow it, whatever it is, but you can't put two hands together. You can't do it with two hands. That would be the regular way to do it. You just do it with one hand and you blow it. Basically what you need to do is a shinui, and therefore it won't be up to the chol, and then you're fine. Okay, it was not such an easy daf. Tomorrow, the next couple of daf, we get into real halacha l'maisa on Hilchos Yom Tov that we started discussing 2 days ago about the grinding and these type of things. All right.
What are we doing about Arab Yom Kippur and Matzah Yom Kippur?
Baruch Hashem, Erev Yom Kippur's daf is relatively easy. So I think we should be able to have time. Just don't know what we'll have to do it a little earlier. Either before mincha or right after mincha. That's what I would suggest in that area. Like,
you also have a big problem because we finished the parak.
I know. I don't know what's going to be with your l'chaim.
Well, I usually have one anyway, but that's right before Kol Nidra.
You can't have l'chaim with every Kippur.
These should be the biggest issues, Peretz.
Peretz, we're mechanic your problems, Peretz.
We start Yom Kippur with schnapps, and we end Yom Kippur with schnapps.
More importantly, it should be l'chaim.
Oh, very good, Michael.
And
very good, beautiful.
As your father used to say, you shouldn't say l'chaim. Right, Yaakov, right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
Shir used to say, don't say l'chaim, it's l'chaim.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah. 100%. I don't know. So I don't. What does the island think we should do the daf?
Yaakov, if we have time, we should go ahead a little bit every single night to cover for Yom Tov coming up, and all of that.
We should be able to. I don't know. We will manage it.
What about Matzah Yom Kippur? Because you're stuck.
What?
What about Matzah Yom Kippur?
We'll do it Matzah Yom Kippur. That's fine. I mean, whatever. We'll see. We'll see how far we can go tomorrow and the next day. See. Tonight we couldn't go. Tonight was a hard daf. We couldn't.
Did you start quarter to 9 or 9?
Yeah, 8:45 we ended up starting.
Oh, it's late.
All right. Good night, everybody.
All right, Tiger.
Hey, T.Y., did the ice start working?
I have no idea. I didn't look. I didn't know if it was fixed.
It was the Shabbos boat that was knocking it off.
Yeah, I don't know, because a lot of times you don't keep it on Shabbos mode and it still doesn't make it.
So, Yaakov, I did something new in my schach, and somebody was telling me there may be an issue.
What's that?
I sandwiched my schach in between two beams with a zip tie.
You did what?
The cross beams that go across the sukkah that hold up the schach is laying down. Then on 4 of them atop, across, spread out, I put another 2x4 and I zip tied it around the edges of the beams.
As long as the schach is not zip tied in, it's sandwiched in between the 2 pieces of wood.
Yeah.
It's not, the schach itself is not tied down.
No, I did the edges.
Fine.
It's fine.
That's fine. Yeah.
No issues.
Well, if you put the hand is a schach, and you put on top of a beam, and you put a zip tie
on the beams, not on the
beams. On the beams. It's bedavka on the beams. I move the schach over a drop even to get the beams.
That's fine. Huh?
Yeah, that's no problem.
Yes, please. What?
Tiago, no problem at all.
No problem.
Okay. All right. I don't know why I never thought of that. Be busy with the schach moving and shaking and everything else. Pretty easy fix.
It is, yeah, but some people don't have long enough 2x4s that go over it, so they end up tying down the stuff.
So I had extra that I went across 5 times on top of the schach.
Right, I hear you.
Okay. Good. All right. Gute Nacht.
Sei gesund.
Where's the next meeting? It's 9:40.
It must be in a quarter to.
Yeah, where?
Don't know.